when Jim called me and said, you know, that we'd met, that we wanted to give the Most Collen Award, I said, Jim, this is Bill. Did you hit the wrong button on your speed dial?
Well, I was absolutely delighted. He's one of my heroes in medical informatics.
Bill, welcome to this wonderful group. You deserve it, and you have deserved it for many years, and I hope you'll continue to be a leader in many years in the future.
William Tierney came off the assembly line in Detroit, Michigan on July 2nd, 1951. His father worked for the Panhandle Eastern Pipeline, which ran from Texas to Detroit.
And his job ended when the pipeline finished. So he took a job when I was 6 months old with General Motors, with a General Motors subsidiary called Delco Battery in New Jersey. And we moved to New Jersey, lived in New Jersey until I was 16.
At that point, Bill's dad got promoted to Delco headquarters in Anderson, Indiana. So 2 years later, when it was time for college, he adopted the cream and crimson of Indiana University. And as they say, the rest is history.
I entered Indiana University as an undergrad in 1969, and I'm still here 42 years later.
I think most of us had one or both parents or somebody in our lives saying, you know, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing right. That's pretty standard advice. I think Bill's version of that would be, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing with extraordinary energy and passion, and that's what he pours into everything.
People see different facets of Bill. I think there are only a few people that understand the full scope of what he does. So there are people that know him as a clinician. There are people that know him as a research scientist. There are people that know him as an administrator, people that know him as a teacher. The other thing is, I've never heard someone describe Bill with the word awe, because he's too down to earth.
Bill takes life seriously, but also lightly at the same time. And he likes to see things happen. Part of that means, if you're going to be innovative, that means you're listening to others carefully and you're collaborating. So it's not his way or the highway sort of thing. It's really, how do we put this together? That makes him a very good teacher, a very good mentor, and I think it also makes him a very successful clinician and researcher.
This business has a lot of writing in it. If you don't know how to write in academic medicine, you're not going to make it. And I happen to be a pretty good writer back from my high school days. I've always been a good writer.
So he would sit down and write a paper in 24 to 36 hours without sleeping and without having a real meal. He might snack or do something. And I could always tell when Bill hit his frustration level or his pain level, because all of a sudden, bam, he'd kick something. And then you'd hear all the thousand sweats and frets and rats and fritz-rats. And I knew that he was frustrated, but in a few minutes he'd settle down and then he'd get going again on the paper.
He has an enormous ability to work. I don't know how much he sleeps. When he's not sleeping and working and doing things with his family, he likes to relax by like riding a bicycle 50 miles or something like that. So, very energetic guy. When we were traveling to Kenya, I was sacked out in the airport trying to get some sleep for the next leg, and he was writing a grant. So he can do without sleep, he can think hard, he keeps going.
I don't need a lot of sleep. So my wife would say I need more than I get, but I live on 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, and I have for 3-4 decades now.
Bill has always been athletic. He ran marathons. And in 1999, he began having serious chest pain, which he attributed to maybe a muscle pull, or maybe he caught a virus.
It kept coming back and then going away, and so I finally told myself, if I had it again, I'm going to go see my doctor. And so I had it again, and I went and saw her, and I just said, I've been having this chest pain, and
I felt the lymph nodes, and I knew.
I ended up having it everywhere. I had it, wrapped around my esophagus, which explains all the problems I had swallowing, which I thought was my reflux and stuff. I always have excuses for this. And the back pain I've been having, I thought, well, maybe that was from when I was playing tennis, but I also had it in my spleen, and I had it in my, retroperitoneal area. And so I ended up getting the real standard chemotherapy. Interestingly, I think it made me a better physician. Certainly when I have patients with cancer, I carry around a picture in my pocket of me with no hair. Until you had something like that, you don't get it.
On the silver lining side of the ledger, Bill and a colleague, Dr. Elizabeth McKinley, who's also a cancer survivor, wrote an amazing paper about their cancer experiences.
This is a beautiful, touching, and enriching paper that every clinician should read, and maybe everybody should read. And it tells more about Bill the Mensch than I can ever hope to say in any of the words I give you here, about his tenacity, his strength, and his toughness.
And while the chemo handled the cancer, it also left Bill with muscle weakness that ended his long-distance running, which he replaced with long-distance bicycle riding, despite the fact that the chemo had seriously compromised his balance.
He didn't know he couldn't keep his balance very well. And in the first couple days out, he fell. He fell twice in about a week, and he fell into a ditch. So his wife, I think as a word of endearment, called him Ditch Boy. And in fact, she made a little tag she put on his shoe, which was typed out and hooked on his shoe like you would for a little kid, called him Ditch Boy. So he says, Bill, if you fall in, I want someone to find you and bring you back to me if you're kind of unconscious or something, as a joke.
In 2001, Bill led the implementation of the first electronic health record system in sub-Saharan Africa. A very simple database program at one rural health center near Eldoret, Kenya, that Moi University uses for many of its teaching programs.
Bill's understanding of what needs to happen there, how to study it, how to ask the right questions, but also how to tap the resources around him and also get people engaged. I mean, it's powerful.
That's his brilliance as a leader, I think. I mean, it's never kind of asserting that anyone do anything, but it's putting them in positions where they recognize it on their own and understanding the talents inherent in people. I've seen him do it time and time again.
About the time Bill was replacing mountains of paper with electronic records at Eldoret, Joe Mamlin, who had paired Bill with Clem McDonald at IU, was in Africa setting up AIDS clinics in partnership with Moi University.
And he was developing these AIDS clinics, so he pulls me aside. He said, you know that cute little primary care, minimal electronic medical record system you put out at Masoriot? I want to create an AIDS information system because we're going to need it here. This is going to get big. We've got millions of people we're responsible for. We can't deliver care without electronic records. So we sat down and actually designed the first encounter forms and the first databases that became the Empath Medical Record System.
Joe Manlin was in Kenya recently but wanted to be part of this story, noting the layer of academia that Bill brings to patient care.
But we're academic people, and it were people like Bill that made it academic. We were busy giving care, but he layered onto it an academic dimension that's so important in terms of really fully demonstrating the power of an academic medical center to make a difference in the lives of people that are left out.
I believe this is a challenge to everyone who sees this video, to get outside your comfort zone, to go out and see how the world struggles and how you could use your talents in informatics to make things better. Bill often says that he's not an informaticist. He's a problem solver who happens to use information technology for the betterment of health. But in that, I believe he has achieved the highest definition of biomedical informatics, enduring contributions to all the world's health.
Through the years, Bill flew to Kenya some 40 times. Nearly 30 hours each way, he'd work 20-hour days for a week and fly home.
So he's tougher than nails. He did this for almost 10 years, and most of the research and the activities and the medical record stuff all was created and spawned by him.
One story I will tell about him is that you probably don't want to go to the airport with him if you want to be on time, because there's another William Tierney who apparently did some things for the IRA that were not so desirable. So he's been on the watch list, and he's learned to just get to the airport early.
I can say without a doubt that Bill is probably the most passionate and committed person that I know, specifically for those who are in low resource settings and in developing countries. And Bill has been a mentor and a friend to me, and I know I can speak for many others in the global health informatics area for many years. And if it wasn't for Bill, we probably wouldn't be doing the work we're doing now.
I think the guy has mentored well over 50 individuals. I mean, he's mentored what is now the current CEO of Wishart Hospital, a whole legion of researchers in Kenya, countless medical informatics researchers and health services researchers. I mean, the lineage of people that have emerged from his mentorship, it's unbelievable. It's extremely impressive.
I have achieved what I've been able to achieve largely because he got behind me and pushed. And there are many people who can say that about Bill.
I could have my career and think, oh, I did all this. But I know that behind the scenes, Bill really was going to the mat for me. And that, you know, that chokes me up, thinking of you know, the fact that Bill really went out there and he doesn't ask for a thing.
I think in informatics, people tend to be, they tend to be a little bit odd to begin with, as far from both the medical side and the computer science side. I mean, their colleagues would think they're kind of weird. And so you get them all together and they kind of feed off one another. And in medical informatics, you actually seek out the people who have special interests in certain areas so that whatever little quirkiness, whatever little interest they have, you can actually build a career upon that.
You not only like him, he's just a very lively, wonderful person, personality-wise, but it's that inner drive to deliver the goods, to actually accomplish something that I think is something I respect certainly very much. And I think all of us do it.
Bill's not subtle. Bill, you know, there was a Mythbusters where they proved that, you know, you could put a bull in a china shop and it wouldn't break everything. So I, from then on, have switched to Bill in a china shop. But he's not subtle. His feelings are known, but he is brilliant and he's passionate. And he's doing things for the right reason.
Part of leadership is not telling people what they want to hear, but telling them what they need to hear. And sometimes it's really painful.
And it's like, ouch, and okay, I get it, all at the same time.
He's got these hard edges, but underneath those hard edges, Bill has a heart that's this big. And he cares. You know, Bill cares about other people, and though he's so smart, you know, he's so accomplished, he's so good at what he does, yet at the same time he really does reach out to other individuals, to his Kenyan counterparts, brings them into the fold, if you will, enables them, empowers them. And I think it was this that the Kenyans recognized and really did accept Bill, and do accept Bill, into their community.
Bill, I've seen you make really tough decisions about very big choices about where to deploy your energies, and they were brilliant. It is completely reasonable and appropriate that we give you this recognition. In fact, the question is, why not sooner? I personally want to congratulate you as a friend and admirer, and also for your other society, the Society of General Internal Medicine. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Bill.
He's really, in a relatively short career, done wonderful work in many, many areas, and he's been very generous in providing help and even programs and systems to other people. We're really happy that he's going to be the recipient of the award, and welcome him to this wonderful group.
I hope by him receiving this award, people take the time to actually understand a little bit of his legacy, because I'm here every day and I kind of live and breathe it, but the amount of impact that he's had is just unquestionable, in my opinion, and it's a privilege to be able to work alongside him, no question about it.
Bill, you're the greatest, and I'm so pleased that you're now a Morris Collen awardee. I'm also even more pleased that you worked with me for so many years.
You know, without Clem, I wouldn't have been effective. I didn't have the skills to build this kind of stuff. I don't know what I'd be doing. I mean, it's a series of accidents that end up, you know, where I particularly am. And the award has kind of recognized, I guess, the fact that you can take those accidents, and if you can combine them in a way that serves a purpose in your environment, it'll get rewarded.
So my friend, congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. And in your continuing quest to make the world a better place, may you have the wind at your back and the strength and the determination to achieve your highest and most noble ambitions.
Bill, I think this is great. It's one of a long line of honors that you have so well deserved, and everybody in the Department of Medicine and here at Regenstrief think it's great that you carry these flags for us. Congratulations.
You're great.